Hello and welcome to this July 22nd, 2010 video version of Invested Central's Chart of the Day. I'm Tom Bowley, Invested Central's Chief Market Strategist, and it's my pleasure to provide you with today's Chart of the Day. This Chart of the Day is brought to you by StockCharts.com, simply the web's best financial charts. Today we're looking at United Rentals, ticker symbol URI. This is a little more than a $700 million consumer discretionary company. Taking a look at the chart technically, you can see that we had a nice gap up on Wednesday. They came out, they reported better than expected earnings, gapped up, looked very nice, volume very strong. The move up through the 50-day moving average also is bullish. However, there are some issues still for the bulls to contend with, namely this downtrend line. You can see that the major uptrend that was in play in April ended and started this trend line. We came down, we tested the 20-day moving average, we went back up. That uptrend stopped right on this trend line. Then after some weakness down to the 50-day moving average, maybe even a little bit below the 50-day moving average here in early June, you can see that the next rally also stalled right on this trend line. And then after a very, very weak period at the end of June into early July, we have rallied once again. And with earnings out on Wednesday, we gapped up, printed a doji, which is a reversing candle in itself, and did it with heavy volume right on this trend line once again. And again, the beauty for us when we look at a potential trade, whether it's on the long side or the short side, is the risk reward. And in this case, if you do short here and you're playing this as a resistance area, any break above this resistance, especially say above the tail, yesterday's high, which was at $12.31, any move through that level you'd have to be careful about on the upside. So that might be an area that you would consider your line in the sand to cover any potential short. But if we don't go back up there and we do move lower off of this trend line, obviously your reward to the downside is going to be pretty great relative to this risk on the breakout to the upside. Looking at the MACD, this is also a bearish looking MACD. We're coming straight up, but we're getting close to the center line. You can see after we broke below the center line back in June, on the rally back up to test this trend line, we also rallied back up and tested the center line before moving back down and putting in some new lows on the MACD. So the fact that we're moving back up, I would think that we're still potentially going to run into some troubles at the center line on the MACD. We'll see. Stochastics 92.81, so almost at 93, so we're showing some very overbought stochastics as we hit this trend line as well. And RSI, again, this one maybe is a little bit more on the bullish side, because normally in a downtrend, in a downtrending market, usually you wouldn't see the RSI move much above 60, and we are a little bit above there at 62.84, so that needs to turn down pretty quickly. But again, if you use a fairly tight stop here and we do take out this trend line to the upside, taking out Wednesday's price resistance, intraday price resistance at 1231, if we do move back up through there, yes, the RSI is probably going to be even higher, maybe 65, 66, possibly higher than that, but you can still maintain a pretty tight stop here. So I think URI looks pretty interesting from a reward to risk standpoint on the short side, especially in a market that appears to be trying to find lower prices. The longer term trend in the market clearly is down with lower lows and lower highs in play. So what we're looking for primarily are stocks that are making moves that are in, have some strength in their charts, getting back close to resistance areas or at resistance areas. And I think based on what I've just discussed here on URI, that stock is certainly at that point. I hope you've enjoyed our presentation today. Be sure to check out our chart of the day every day at InvestedCentral.com. While you're there, sign up for our free weekly Market Pulse newsletter and have the chart of the day emailed directly to you. Happy trading.